Well, good evening. It's a gorgeous evening out here. Let's have a look at that. Beautiful sunset happening over the farm. Just out in the garden. Carmen's already gone in. She worked all day, so she spent, I don't know, about an hour in here with me. And so this is our potato patch. And so I've weeded this row here. And I'm about, I don't know, about a third of the way down here. But I just want to show you what's going on here. Because it's like an absolute, well, it's a growth explosion, but it's almost an infestation with clover. Like this stuff has just like absolutely taken over. And mayweed, like we know we have a mayweed issue on the whole farm, but like this stuff is just like absolutely taken over. So I'm putting it in buckets, and then I'm taking the bucket over, dumping it in the trailer back here. So you can see we're getting about one of these trailers every day of weeds out of the garden. If not every day, every 2 days. And then it's going over here to the pig pen just to feed them girls and guys. So I actually did a whole video on this a couple weeks ago, called like why you need to weed your garden. And I get reference to basically prep a nice meal, and then a dirty old bum sneaks in the back door and eats your meal right under your nose. And that's exactly what's happening in our garden. We had lots of moisture, lots and lots of moisture, not a lot of growth. We knew we had poorer soil. We weren't getting a lot of warmth, to the early part of the summer. The last couple weeks, and in fact, actually the last few days, we've been in the midst of this big heat wave. It's been, mid to high 20s, and everything's just taken off. And so we've had like, this light little carpet layer of greenery that was hard to pick. And you kind of want to get things get a little bit more established, and you can get a good handhold on them. But all of a sudden, it's just like boom, it's there. It's like shag carpet throughout your whole garden. And what are you going to do about it, right? So, anyways, these are the problems we face. So I'm going to dump this trailer load of greens in with the little piggies over here. They're going to eat this all up, and well, you can see in here, we've been feeding them in here, and like they clean up every single day. So I mean, at least it's not a complete waste. We're able to actually use it as a food source for the pigs, but still a pain in the backside. You see these piggies, they just go to town on this stuff. They just love it. So I mean, at least there's that. We're not set up for pastured pigs, but these guys get more greenery out of our garden than I think we ever will. And it saves us having to run electric fencing and worry about losing pigs. So I guess what could be a bad situation has somewhat of a silver lining. Anyways, that's enough for tonight. I'll come back tomorrow morning, try and do a little bit more in the garden. I think in the fall we're gonna have to find some of that silage tarp and do like a cover kill system where we just sandbag it and then let the pack of the snow come down and just choke out all the oxygen, and then come back in the spring and hopefully everything's winter killed. So before I call it a night, actually, I just want to show you a couple of things. One is just right here behind the trailer. Carmen's building maximum security panels for the strawberry patch. We're going to remove the electric fencing from there just because the grass grows all up through it, and then you've really got no way to mow or use the weed whacker in there without taking it all down and then mowing and putting it all back up. The other thing I wanted to show you was the mouse miracle garden. So we just saw the main garden. This is the mouse miracle garden, and this has really had like very little tending to it. You can see there's a little bit of this pennycress come up every day or two. I come by and I just pick a little bit out, chuck it out of there. But it's pretty aggressive stuff, that pennycress, I find. But you can see between the rows, things are nice and clear on both sides. This is where we brought in that straw mulch, and I did another video on that one called Mulch Madness. So after that mulch sat there for 6 weeks, I actually took a match to it, burned it up, burned all between the rows, and it killed a lot of that initial weed growth that was trying to come through that mulch layer. It worked incredibly successful, actually. At first I'm like, I've made a terrible mistake because it burned for like 4 hours. But it actually worked really, really well for weed control. And like I said, that pennycress is the only stuff that's remained kind of persistent, but it's very loosely rooted, and it's only got like a single strand type of root. So you just grab it, pluck it out, and away you go. But I think there's just a lot of seeds in there, and that's why it's so aggressive. We see lots of it too in the other gardens. So, well, it looks like the sheeps love their new shelter, so that's awesome. Really happy. You do love it, don't you, Richmond? So the last 2 mornings, Charlotte slept until about 8 o'clock in the morning, and Carmen came home from work last night and she's like, oh man, like I've just been so tired and she had a hell of a day at work. So I'm like, no worries, like I'll take the early shift, I'll get up with Charlotte. No. Thinking like, oh yeah, I'll be able to sleep until at least 7:30. No, 6:30 this morning she was up, so I guess that kind of backfired, but I gave my word, so here we are, up and ready to do morning chores. I'm dealing with this clover problem in the garden, and it's so like deeply rooted in the clay that I can't pull the weeds up. It's just snapping off at the ground. It would take me days and days and days to try and get it, you know, all of that cleared out. I figure if I'm just snapping it off at the root anyways, I might as well just take the weed whacker in there and then just run that as low. Just come in and just helicopter that stuff as low as I possibly can. And I'll just deal with it afterwards. Well, the weed whacking's all done. And as you can see, there's quite the forest going on here. I think I'm actually going to do is bring the push mower in here and just get that down a little bit closer to grade even. And then I've got the compost pile over there. I might just fork some into wheelbarrows and then just stack up compost in between the rows, because that stuff's pretty sterile, so it should make it harder for this stuff to grow through. And I gotta have some in there anyways in the fall. I'm out here in Rio Grande, baling hay. It's kind of like amateur hour. I had to get Clayton to show me how to run this thing. I made one bale. I got out of the tractor to make sure it looked like a bale and not like a shitty ice cream cone. It actually looked pretty good. Hopped back in the tractor, went forward like 20 feet. Realized it was all bunged up. I had to get him to help me get it all unplugged. And then give me the step-by-step instructions all over again. But we're back in business. Made about 10 bales already, so I think I got her figured here. So it's like 31 degrees out here today. Environment Canada's actually issued a heat warning, and they've told everybody to like schedule, you know, outdoor activities and strenuous activities to the cooler part of the day. It's not going to happen, Environment Canada. I think there's a dead mouse in this tractor. Honestly, like it smells like somebody committed a murder and forgot the bag of lime. It's not very pleasant anyways. Well, it's 10:30 at night. Charlotte and I just got home from baling hay. I realized that I locked all the chickens out earlier today. We had a broody hen, and I was trying to break that habit, so I locked her out of the chicken house, not realizing I'd be gone for so long. So now all these girls want to get to bed. So we better get the hatch opened up here. Well, the chickens are all in bed. Charlotte's in bed. I think it's time for me to make a cup of tea and maybe consider going to bed myself. So hope you have a fantastic evening. We'll see you tomorrow.